You are watching VGL Season 1 2v2 tournament brackets here. We've got the regular season still in effect. This is Week 2, Game 2 of what turned out to be a very, very costly mistake for the Timba and Kromix team as they were facing off against ElPolloLoco and Crump. Second game of this matchup taking place on Scorched Haven, a map that so far has seen some pretty heavy rotation in our season play. And last game, if you haven't seen it, was quite a heartbreak as TimbaEC forgot to leave a supply depot up and cost him essentially and his partner their entire economy, and otherwise squandered a pretty decent push. See Kromix with some early. We see Kromix with some early scouting going on here. That positioning looks a little suspicious here, and you know, Kromix and Timba off of basically two back-to-back heartbreaks, one in Week 1, another one in Week 2. They're coming off a loss in Week 1, looking for their first win, and Crump and Pollo coming off of a bye week in Week 1, looking to really make a statement here. And Kromix just, I'm waiting for that forge to pop up, because this is just very suspicious play from this probe here. We see an early thing here, and you know, I don't know. It's looking a little suspicious. This wouldn't be the first time we've had a little bit of cheese served early on, and there's the forge. It's starting to look like a possible cannon rush situation here. We'll have to keep an eye on that probe there. Take a look. Income tab fairly even across the board. We do see some early gas from Timba. Very, very interesting decision there. And we see Crump just kind of walling off his ramp here. Not sure if he's seen this. This worker come in. He may not have noticed when it blew past his buildings there, and very, very close to this pylon here. However, we see that he does not have vision of it so far. Not even with the extended vision of the finished pylon. He's just outside of that vision circle. Very good placement there from Kromix. He's going to want to get a cannon down as quickly as possible, getting the base cannon down to defend from any surrounds of any future cannons he puts down. A very clever move. We do see a spawning pool going down for Pollo, and a gas coming up. No early expansion so far for the Zerg, and we do see a wall-off attempt here from Kromix, and he will very quickly get that wall-off done. And Timba going for that early gas, and do see a tech lab going down. Very interesting decision there. We'll have to see if we're going to also have some Reapers coming out of the map. And we do see, looks like Crump has put some cannons down, unbeknownst to him. I don't think he's realized yet that Kromix is up here. And these cannons are definitely well placed, and it looks like he's going to save himself from that cannon rush. Kromix canceling that cannon, still maintaining this base over here. And until Crump gets enough units, he's not really going to be able to do much about it. And, you know, Kromix at this point, all he can hope for is that he can still use this for warp gates. But a failed cannon rush there, at least to his benefit, he didn't waste too many minerals on cannons before it failed. You do see some slow lings out for Pollo. And the expansion going down, looks like for a little bit of macro play. Meanwhile, we do see cannons fortifying up the Kromix line. No passageways whatsoever through this wall here. So that makes me wonder if we will see warp gates. He has not put down extra gates at all. This could be a Void Ray situation, although he will need a second base if he really wants to outproduce on Void Rays. Timba going very, very heavy gas here. Take a look at the income tab. You see just completely dismal in mineral count. However, he's right up there on the gas. So it's going to be interesting to see if he's just going to rely on mules. We do see a factory going down. I can't find a good reason why he would go so heavy on gas like that. I mean, he could do any number of high gas builds, but you still need minerals. You never neglect the SCV count for across the board. And these two cannons holding this at bay. Kromix not really being able to do anything. Pollo sending out some Zerglings. Looks like he's taken one of the two Zelnaga towers. Here's another Zergling, most likely to scout, try to see if we have any early expansions going on. Kromix hanging out over here with a worker. Looks like Kromix just kind of going out for the max mine here. Hasn't made too many decisions. We do see a Cybernetics core going down. That could be anything. And nope, there it is. We do see Stargates on the map. 2 Stargates coming up. So it will most likely be a Void Ray rush. Could be Phoenixes. However, with 1 Zerg, I'm not sure if that investment would be worth it, especially with the possibility of Blink Stalker counter on Crump's end. For Crump, we don't see too many decisions yet. We do see warp gates coming out as well as some melee upgrades, but so far it looks like it could go either way. Most likely gateway units, although he will need to build some more gateways soon if that is the case. And we do see Pollo now has a Zergling just kind of marching back and forth here between these two bases, keeping an eye, making sure nobody's coming out, and allowing him to see if they decide to expand at any point. A bunker down for Timba as well. Built that a little while ago, just finally loaded up some units in it. Very low unit counts across the board though. Take a look at the units here. We see really not much. Both teams are just kind of macroing up here, and outside of 14 Zerglings, which is really our largest army, you don't see much of anything here. Static defenses going down for Pollo, a little bit of creep spread. See an upgrade evolution chamber for some upgrades, but not much going on here. Layer tech is in play, but just really a good solid macro going on, it looks, from both of them. We do finally see some more gateways going down for Crump. That is definitely a positive, but unit count just completely dismal. And the income tab, we see Timbo completely being left in the dust. 16 workers just not going to cut it, especially as we are approaching the 10-minute mark. We see a couple of Void Rays starting to come out now. Take a look at production tab. We see a Cloaking Field and Banshees underway for Timba. He may be relying on a surprise attack. However, it's a very late surprise attack. At the 9-minute mark, chances are these Banshees will not see any action until close to 10 minutes if he's lucky, and that's just way too late. Way too late. We already know cannons are in play for Crump. He's already seen those go down with the failed cannon rush. There is layer tech. However, surprisingly, we see that they have not scouted the Zerg at all. The Zerg side of the base is completely empty, and they just have absolutely no eyes on it whatsoever. Meanwhile, outside of a little bit of the Protoss base from an Overseer that just swung by over here, there's not much vision either on the other side. Now we do see another Changeling in play here, trying to keep an eye. He has seen these Banshees now, and we know that he's also seen these Void Rays thanks to an Overseer. There he is, this Overseer right here, which also dropped a Changeling not too long ago. And these Void Rays have now been scouted. These Banshees have now been scouted, which means that they can prepare counters for both. Crump already having a counter for one with the blink. All he needs is detection, which these cannons will allow. And we're going to need some Hydras from Pollo, and it looks like he's also underway for that. So, unbeknownst to Kromix and Timba, they have been scouted. And unfortunately, this scouting is going to mean that very bad things can happen here with this double air attack. And being that both of these are very resource intensive, it could leave them with a severe resource shortage, especially for Timba, since he is completely undermining right now and has no expansion. We do see Kromix with a little bit of an expansion, and this Zelnaga has now spotted these Banshees rolling in. So we see Crump responding with these Stalkers as he gets them in the position. Kromix still having this cannon here, and we do see the cloak going down. However, there's not really much for them to do. We have detection just south of them, and that cannon will open fire, and it just looks like Timba doesn't have much of a surprise left. We already have a Pollo's Overseer here chasing them down, and they're desperately trying to just run around here and try to find a target, but they just can't find anything. And now they finally find a target. Unfortunately, they're still being detected with this Overseer just kind of nagging around with them. And they're going to try to take down this hatch. It's going to be a race. We do see Hydralisk on the field now, and he's going to quickly, he needs to start opening fire. Oh, he moved the Overseer too far, and he's just barely saving that hatch. Only 277 hit points with an inject to come in for the save. Very dangerous, very close. Even though they scouted those Banshees, they still almost did a pretty decent job. Let's take a look at production, just see what we have going on. We do see Timba transitioning into Marines, still see Medivacs, I'm sorry, not Medivacs, we do see Medivacs, but I meant to say we see Void Rays still massing up here for Kromix. There's a nice 9 Void Rays now on the field. Let's take a look at the armies. Oh, sorry, unit compositions here. See 9 Void Rays, 2 Banshees. Still a little bit of heavy air coming into play here, but we are starting to see these Medivacs pop out now, and we are also starting to see a reactor, which will most likely mean Hellions, and well, actually it does mean Hellions. And we do see an extra barracks coming down, which he will definitely need to get that Marine count up higher. We see Crump now moving his Stalkers into central position along with Pollo's Zerglings. And we do see some Hydralisks. Looks like they're going to hang back just in case of any attacks. We see 2 Banshees kind of looking at the outskirts here, looks like Pollo and Crump in contention for the same expansion here. Zerglings on the move, officially detected by that sensor tower. Pollo knows this. He's going to have to act fast, and it looks like he will try to snipe this Nexus. And he goes in for some workers, and it looks like he will evade right out and not try to take that Nexus. However, these workers are not going to have that. You come into their home, they're going to fight you for it. And unfortunately, those Zerglings go down. 9 Void Rays are just a little too much for the fragile Zerglings to handle. And now it looks like Crump is rolling out for his turn. He look, we do see a ping on the map. Looks like, yep, we do have Pollo with a with an Overseer here. Looks like Crump is also going to build a proxy pylon to back this up, and they're just outside of sensor range as we see them rolling in. These 2 Banshees got a little bit of a beating and had to evade from Pollo's base. That was a very quick attack. And we see Crump now blinking in on Timba's base, and he's going to go ahead and try to snipe this command center. And since Stalkers can't shoot in the air, airlifting's not going to save him. And these Void Rays are rolling in. They're going to try to hit some of these Stalkers. They just pop it in time, and we see them going for the escape. He's going to have to nail this blink to get out in time, and he hits the blink perfectly for all the Stalkers, and he makes it out just in time. However, this VR mass is definitely starting to get a little scary as we see it kind of growing in size here. And the VRs are definitely rolling in. They are spotted now by this Zelnaga tower. So both Crump and Pollo know that they are coming in. We see pings going all around, notifying each other that, hey, we have a Void Ray threat rolling in here. We need to do something about it. And in response to that, we see Stalkers blinking into action. We see Hydralisk desperately trying to get through this choke to try and defend Crump's base. And we see Kromix backing off as it becomes apparent that this is not a good idea with so many Hydralisks on the map. Even though he does not know the exact number, he knows that there's quite a bit. He also knows that he has these cannons here and decides to just go ahead and back off from the attack and rummage back to his base. We do see Pollo now taking a 3rd base. Surprisingly enough, this expansion going unused. Not really sure why. We see Crump has expanded for quite a bit. He's had this Nexus here, has not tried to saturate it yet. Go ahead and take a look at production tab. We see Stim coming down, as well as another command center coming down for Timba. He will desperately need that as he is probably falling behind in resource count dramatically. We see Burrow coming down, as well as some Zerglings, and a little bit of some MM here. We see lots and lots of research coming down, some centrifugal hooks. There we go. I knew I could say it. For Pollo, as he will probably need those for any kind of Marines, although he is very invested in Hydralisk right now. Look at that staggering Hydralisk count as 27, more than enough, and we see Crump finally deciding to saturate that base as he's just barely has enough minerals here to even mine. And we see another expansion coming down over here on this side. A little dangerous. There's been a lot of Void Ray traffic coming in through there. We do see 13 Void Rays total now. And production 3 more on the way. Lots of upgrades down for Pollo. Some more Marines and some Forge upgrades. Looks like we definitely have a massive Void Ray army here. Under charge, these Void Rays can become very deadly, even to Hydralisk. But right now, the Hydralisk count is just getting a little scary. Not sure, especially combined with these Stalkers, if it'll be enough. And we see the Void Rays rolling out. It will finally take down this Overseer who has been hanging out there for almost the entire game. We do also see 2 very damaged Banshees hanging out over there. And just as Pollo starts to set this base up and get some mining down, these Void Rays are going to melt it into non-existence. We see Zerglings rolling in, knowing that they have a little bit of an opportunity here. And as the center tower goes off like crazy, we see these Void Rays immediately go back. A great pull from Pollo, taking advantage of that loss to force those Void Rays to make a tough decision, and Kromix making a good decision to pull them back, as these Banelings can definitely cause some damage to his economy. Unfortunately, he's not going to get there in time. These Blink Stalkers going in for the kill on this wall, just blinking in. We have a total split attack here. Most of those Zerglings just evaporated when these Void Rays arrive. Kromix a little slow to respond, and these Blink Stalkers doing some serious damage before blinking out, and once again evading most of Kromix's Void Rays. And we do see now a little bit of a rollout here. Timba's probably very pissed off. He has been the subject of a lot of harassment here. It is just way too much. Crump is just manhandling him on the Blink Stalker harassment, making him feel probably very objectified and and a little insecure at this point. And we do see that last larva die. Crump's base finally a little bit massed up here with some 3 cannons, but it is about to have a lot of company as this mass of void rays is rolling in here, accompanied by this little brief MN. The Marines lagging very far behind, and these void rays are going to have no competition getting in here, and they are going to take down a Nexus in exchange for the blink at the blink attack and the baneling attack. These Marines rolling in just in time to take out the rest of those probes, and that will take down that expansion. We see a scary amount here of Hydralisks. Look at 36 Hydralisks. My goodness, that is definitely going to be an interesting challenge here for all of these 20 void rays. And we see them rolling in, taking damage. The drops come down. We see Marines coming out, and this is going to be one hell of a battle, as these Blink Stalkers and Hydralisks are going to definitely give these Void Rays a tough time, and that should be more than enough to clean this up. No medevacs are going to save these Marines, and these Void Rays, no matter how charged they are, they're going to take down quite a few units with them, but they will be completely melted, and these medevacs desperately try to escape, completely empty, unfortunately, and that takes down all of the units. We do have Archons in play as well. These medevacs evacuating. However, these Zerglings, knock knock. Where's an Orkin man when you need one? Because we've got a little bit of an infestation taking place here and no units to try and protect it. We have Crump with some Zealots also rolling in. Some medevacs arriving just in time for some more bad news, as 3 Marines try to hold the line and get completely eviscerated by these Zerglings. Timba's buildings are on fire. It's just havoc everywhere. Sensor tower finally going down. 2 Hellions are going to try to hold the line. These workers don't even know why they've been pulled at this point. We have the mass of Hydralisks and a handful of Roaches also rolling in. We see Zealots tearing apart what's left of Kromix's economy. Kromix leaves the game, and this is probably going to be it. You see a GG from Timba, and the game is lost. And another heartbreaking defeat. Not as much of a major mistake this time around. Really, what swayed the battle in favor of Crump and Pollo was just superior scouting. We just saw how they had Xel'Naga towers everywhere. They had Overseers. They had Changelings running around in their bases. I mean, they knew what they were doing at all times, and since they were both going for a little bit of a mass strategy, they were basically able to keep an eye on what they were building, how many they were building, and build the counter for it. And we saw several times how Timba and Kromix would try to create their own sneak attacks, and they could never pull them off because they would either be detected by a Xel'Naga tower or an Overlord or something, and it made it very difficult for them to make any headway whatsoever. On the other side of things, due to the lack of scouting from Timba and Kromix, we saw basically some superior harassment abilities going on, especially from Crump, as he masterfully handled those Blink Stalkers, taking advantage of the complete lack of awareness and skirting around any attempts to detect. So just a very well played game all around, but definitely some superior play from Crump and Pollo.